My name is Jennifer Clote, and I'm currently serving as the Manager of Recruitment and Outreach here at the WMU School of Social Work. Thanks for your interest in our MSW program. I'm going to share a little bit about the program, all of the application details, some frequently asked questions, and hopefully answer a lot of questions for you. But if you still have questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to swrk-admi@wmich.edu or call us at 269-387-3180 or request more info by pushing the request more info button on our website and we'll send you an email. So we'd love to hear from you lots of times after today and throughout your process of researching and pursuing, hopefully, an MSW here at WMU. So I'd like to start each of our events and recordings with this really important land, labor, and life acknowledgement because we need to be honest about our roots, where we come from, and I think it's good social work practice. So if you would join me for a moment as we acknowledge those who've gone before. We would like to recognize that Western Michigan University is located on lands historically occupied by the Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi nations. Please take a moment to acknowledge and honor this ancestral land of the Three Fires Confederacy, the sacred lands of all Indigenous peoples and their continued presence. The United States would not exist but for the free enslaved labor of Black people. Black lives, knowledge, and skills have been stolen due to violence and white supremacy. Thank you for joining me in that important acknowledgement. Okay, let's get started. So we have 3 campus locations, one in Grand Rapids, one in Kalamazoo, and one in Benton Harbor. And you can complete all of our programs at any of those campuses. We have 2 MSW programs, the standard MSW, which takes 60 credit hours. It's designed for folks without a social work background. So if you have an undergraduate degree in anything other than social work, then this is the track you would take. It starts once a year in our fall term, which usually starts in the last week of August. We unfortunately don't have any winter, spring, or summer start dates for the standard MSW program at this point. Our advanced standing program is 39 credit hours. It's available to students with a BSW within the past 5 years who meet the academic requirements, which we'll talk about in a second, and starts once a year in the summer term, which is in July. So if you are not graduating until the end of the summer, you may need to wait until the following summer to begin that program. We also have 2 program schedule options. So for both advanced standing and for our standard MSW, you can choose either a full-time program or an extended study or part-time program. For the full-time programs, they're 12 to 15 credits per semester, which might seem like a lot compared to other disciplines, but is relatively standard for social work. The internship starts right away in your first fall term, and the 60 credit hour program takes 2 years, and advanced standing takes around 10 months, less than a year. The part-time program is 6 credits a semester. It's more predictable as far as hours go. We've intentionally designed this for folks who have other responsibilities during the daytime. So it's typically class 2 nights a week from 5:30 to 8:30 on a weeknight. It does include summer terms. That's how we're not able to, or it's how we're able to not double it. The internship doesn't start until the second year, which is kind of nice. It gives you an opportunity to get your arrangements in order and take it one step at a time. Just start with just classes and then add in the internship later. So the part-time program for the standard program takes 3 years to complete, and for the advanced standing program takes 2 years to complete. So if you're thinking, oh, the advanced standing full-time sounds like a lot, just know that you can also do that part-time. Just a little note, even though we call them part-time programs because they're half the pace of our full-time, they still meet the federal definition for a full-time graduate program. That means it won't mess up your financial aid. As long as you take 6 credits per semester, you're still eligible for federal loans. We're getting a lot of questions around the program format, understandably so, given that COVID has changed a lot about how we present our educational materials. We do not currently offer a fully online program. So if you need a guarantee that it's going to be fully online, that's not something that we can offer at this point. However, many of our courses are available online. We're having discussions about fully online programs, but nothing's been decided yet. The university is returning to, quote, near normal in the fall of 2021, according to our president, and we will continue to follow all CDC safety guidelines. Free vaccines are available at the Syracuse Health Center for students, faculty, and staff. If you have questions about that, you can go to wmich.edu/COVID-19, and there's all the recent updates on that. We also have updates specific to the School of Social Work on our webpage, wmich.edu/social work. We do have a number of types of classes. So we have in-person classes that are resuming. We're prioritizing classes that are what we call practice-based, which means they have, group work and role play, things that you need to work out in person or are easier to work out in person. And then we have 3 types of online courses. Asynchronous, which means that you'll never meet live time or face-to-face on like a WebEx call or a Skype call or anything like that. You'll just follow along with your instructor on videos, PowerPoints, readings online. Then we have partially synchronous, which means you'll meet maybe every other week, maybe once a month in live time over a web conferencing platform, but not every week or not twice a week as would be normal. And then we have an online fully synchronous, which means that you do meet in live time on a web conferencing platform either once a week or twice a week, depending on the class and the semester. So our curriculum, all social work programs that are accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which we are, and you will want to make sure that whatever schools you're looking at are also accredited, have the first half of the program for standard students as a foundation, things that students who do have their background in social work have already taken courses on. And the advanced standing students get to skip that because they had those courses in their undergraduate degree. And then in the second half of the program, you get to select what we call a concentration. Those concentrations vary from school to school, so it's definitely something you'll want to look into as you're looking at other programs. Here at Western Michigan, we have them structured similarly to the categories for licensure in the state of Michigan. So we have a clinical social work concentration and a policy planning and administration concentration. Clinical social work is what most people picture when they think of a social worker. It's work with individuals and families, direct practice interventions, so you are helping individuals and families reach particular goals that they've set. Now, policy planning and administration is what we call our macro concentration. That's the big picture stuff, things like community organizing, running a nonprofit, writing or advocating for better policy, serving in public office, lots of really cool big picture ideas there. That doesn't mean that you won't be working with individuals. In fact, you still work with lots of individuals and it's highly relational based, which is why we use the same core skill set that you'll learn in your foundation for both. You do have the option to get licensed in either or in both when you're done, and you don't have to go back to school. So hopefully that will take some of the pressure off if you are having a hard time deciding. You could also concentrations and take your electives in the other concentration to get a more well-rounded picture of what social work practice might look like. We also offer a number of really great specializations or graduate certificates here at the School of Social Work. So we have 3 graduate certificates that are a part of the College of Health and Human Services. We have integrative holistic health and wellness, which is looking at how we integrate the whole body, mind, spirit, as well as all the other components of what health might look like. We have gerontology or aging studies, and that is a great one to pursue because that is the fastest growing area of social work practice, purely because it's the fastest growing area of our population. And then we have the special program in alcohol and drug abuse for folks who specifically want to work with people recovering from addiction. And there are 24 credit hours in that, and you get to double dip on 12 of them. So just know that that's the only one that doesn't fit neatly into your already determined program plan. You have 9 credit hours of electives, and you can use them however you'd like. You can use them towards one of these certificates or specializations, or you can just take things that interest you as long as they're relevant to the degree. So if you did that SPADA program, that would be an additional 12 credit hours. We also offer 3 specializations here in the School of Social Work, and these are a huge draw to our program. They're something that make us unique and are something that we do really well. So we have a school social work training program, and that has 9 credit hours plus an internship, and that would allow you to meet the requirements, the educational requirements, to be a school social worker approved to work in the state of Michigan with students with disabilities. We also have 2 trauma specializations. We have trauma across the lifespan, which is kind of a big picture, all different types of trauma, different types of interventions with different populations. And then we have trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which is an evidence-based intervention for working specifically with youth who've experienced trauma. Those 2 you can double dip on, so you could do both the TFCBT and trauma across the lifespan and still fit it within those 9 credit hours. But the rest of them, if you tried to double them up, would extend your time to graduation. As a part of every accredited social work program, we have internships. So if you are a standard student or 60 credit hour student, then you'll have 2, one in your foundation year, which is 400 hours, typically done over 2 semesters, which works out to be about 12 to 16 hours a week. And then in your concentration year, which will be for everyone, including advanced standing students, it's 500 hours, typically done over 2 semesters, which works out to be about 16 to 20 hours a week. We set you up. You're not on your own. In fact, we ask that you don't try to do something on your own, which is really nice. So we allow you to select 3 of your top preferences and work with you to make sure that it's a match for your concentration and a specialization if you have one, so that you're getting into the area that you hope to practice in post-graduation. These are typically unpaid positions. We do have some that come with a stipend, but they're very competitive for obvious reasons. So just take a look at those, and we're happy to work with you. We also offer employment-based internships, which means that depending on the type of work that you're doing, you might be able to get internship credits for your job. So a lot of people ask, like, how doable is this? Can I work full-time and pull this off? So the answer really depends on all of your other life variables. If you are working full-time, we do recommend that you take our part-time program just for hours in the day. You should note that most of the time these internships do require daytime availability. We do have some with nighttime and weekend availability, but the types of internships are going to be limited, and the number of those internships are also limited. So expect to flex those a little bit. Usually folks doing the part-time program who are working full-time do just fine in that first year because there's not an internship. In the second year, a lot of folks can still swing it because 12 hours a week isn't too bad. Some folks will allow their employers will allow them to do longer shifts, like 4 10s or 3 12s, in order to get their hours in for work so that they can focus on their internship on the other couple days a week. Some folks are able to snag one of those nighttime and weekend internships. Still others are able to do those employment internships so that they can double dip on those daytime hours. And typically the concentration internship is where it gets a little more difficult because you're fitting in 16 to 20 hours a week, basically a part-time gig, in order to make that work. So some folks need to adjust their hours at that point at their current role. Some folks switch jobs so that it would be something that works with your employment-based internship. Some folks will take a leave of absence and try to knock those hours out all in the summer. So there's some options, but we're happy to work with you, and you've got lots of time to figure that out before you head into that concentration year. So unfortunately, it's not a clear yes or no answer, and you're going to know best what fits your situation, but we certainly do have lots of students who are able to complete the program working full-time. Just know that it will probably require some flexibility on either your employer's end or your end in order to get those done. Okay, so on to admissions criteria and application information. For our standard program, we have a 3.0 cumulative GPA. We require that because that's the GPA that you'll be required to maintain once you enter the graduate programs at WMU. We do not automatically deny folks with a GPA below that, but you'll want to talk about why it's lower than that and what your plan for success is in your application essay question that asks you about that. Liberal arts base, most people have that these days. Look at your work and life experience, your personal maturity, and your leadership ability when we're looking at your application essay responses. For the advanced standing program in particular, you need a BSW degree from the Council on Social Work accredited program within 5 years of your application. So if it's been 10 years, unfortunately, you would still need to go through to the standard program, or if you had a social work minor, that's not enough either. Unfortunately, we need that full bachelor's of social work within the last 5 years in order to be eligible. You need an undergraduate GPA of at least 3.25. That's a cumulative GPA. Again, you can still apply if your GPA is lower than that, but we'll need that explanation in your plan for success in that essay question. No more than one BSW course below a B. So if you do have one course below a B, you may be required to retake that while you're in the MSW program, but we won't make you do it ahead of time. And then if you've already completed field, then one of your 3 letters of reference should be from your field instructor or faculty liaison or someone who worked with you in that internship. If you haven't, if you're coming straight through from school and you haven't completed that, or you haven't been in your internship for very long, we understand, but we request that one of those be then from a social worker. So that could be a faculty member, someone you did a practicum for, volunteered for, something like that. Okay, so our deadlines have changed a little bit this year. We have added an early decision deadline for all programs. So if you get all of your information in, transcripts, references, in addition to everything on your application, in by October 15th of 2021, then we'll let you know by the end of 2021 if you've been admitted to the program or not. The huge benefit to that is really getting access to all of the job boards that might be posted, so opportunities for graduate assistantships, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then just having time to work out your scholarship applications, which are typically due in the winter, as well as your job situation and family situation, more time to work out all those details and kind of spread out the workload of preparing for school. I highly recommend, if you are watching this before October 15th, that you shoot for getting all of your information in by that deadline. For the advanced standing program and all international students, we require the final deadline is January 15th. We're being very strict about those deadlines this year so that we have enough time to get back to you and to get you properly oriented and all of those things for the program. And then for the standard 60 credit hour program, the cutoff deadline is February 15th of 2022. Please note that if you are transferring or if you're seeking readmissions, we still ask that you abide by these same deadlines. Some folks expect that to be different or to have more opportunities later in the year, but we really need you to apply it just like every other student through these decision deadlines. For the application components themselves, please note that there are different applications for advanced standing and for standard. So when you open up that application link, the first one listed will say MSW, and then right after that there says MSW-advanced standing. So if you're an advanced standing student, please make sure you're checking that advanced standing one so we know that that's the one that you're applying for, because as we just talked about, the admissions criteria are a little bit different. So it's important that when we're reviewing your application, we know which one you intend to do. There is an application fee of $50, but since you're taking the time to watch our informational video, we'd love to offer you our fee waiver code, capital H, 1903. So that's two capital H's, 1903. And it's in a weird spot in the application. You'll put it in the additional information section underneath a question that asks about your military service. I know it's not super logical because you would think it would go on the payment page, but that's why we give you the heads up. We'll need a current resume from you. There's a series of essay questions that are included in the application that you'll need to respond to, and that's really important because we do not require any standardized testing. We don't have any interviews. So this is really how we get to know you. So take your time on these. Answer 2 to 3 paragraphs for each of the question. Don't skimp and just do 1 or 2 sentences. We want a lot of content in that to tell us about who you are. And then 3 professional recommendations. So, not your mom or your partner, but someone who has seen you in action, maybe a supervisor. If you recently coming from school, you could include an academic reference, but if it's been a while, don't worry. We don't expect you to have stayed best buds with your professor from 10 years ago. The great thing about our application is that it requires just the contact info. You don't have to collect letters yourself. Our system will send an automated email requesting a recommendation from your contacts and giving them an option to upload a letter as soon as you save and close that information in your application. So it won't wait until you push submit. So what I recommend is that you put in your information about your recommendations as soon as you start that application so that your recommenders have plenty of time to respond to that because we will need all of that information in by the deadline to ensure a timely review for you. And then of course your official transcripts. Some folks get a little confused on the application because it does allow you to upload an unofficial transcript. Please note that that is just a placeholder. You still have to include official transcripts. If you have not yet graduated, you will end up having to send your official transcripts twice. So you'll send them once when you apply and then again once you've officially graduated. Please send those directly to the graduate college and not to my office in the School of Social Work so that they get to the right place and there's no delay. And remember to include any previous names on your application where it asks about that in your demographic information so that if you graduated under a different name and we get that transcript, we'll know where to connect it. Here is the categories for those essay questions that are included on the application. So just so you know, you can see those on our website in advance, or you can open and save the application at any time. We do recommend that you prepare the answers to these questions in a Word document, just so you have access to things like spell check and grammar checks, that you're more easily able to have friends or colleagues do a review of your content or grammar before submitting. The application does save and close, but all of those tools are better accessible through a Word document first, and then you can just copy and paste into the application. Your admissions decision will be administered to you online, so don't expect a physical letter from us. You won't get one. Make sure that the email that you do the application under is one that you check often, is not one that will expire before we get your decision back to you. So if you're about to graduate and you put in your school email, but it expires by the end, then it's going to go to no man's land. So make sure you're putting one that is personal and that you check often so that you'll know when you're admitted or when you have a decision. We aim for 8 weeks after all your materials have been submitted, included transcripts and references, and applications will be reviewed after the close of each deadline. If you are hoping to transfer from another graduate program, there are some rules about the types of things that can come in and then what they count for. I'd be happy to talk to you more about details about your specific situation, but in general, they need to be graduate level courses. You can't transfer in undergraduate social work courses. They need to be graduate. Completed within 6 years of your expected graduation date. You have to have at least a 3.0 GPA in the course, and there's limits on the number of credits that you can bring into the university. You'll need to make sure all of your official transcripts are submitted to the graduate college, and then there's a form on our webpage, wmich.edu/socialwork/forms. There's a graduate college transfer form and a departmental transfer form. If you just want them to count towards electives, you'll just need that graduate college form. If you're hoping that they will replace a required course in the social work curriculum, then they'll also need to be submitted with the departmental credit form, along with the syllabus and the course catalog description for the course that you're hoping to get credit for. If you forward those to our social work admissions email, then we'll make sure it gets to our curriculum committee as appropriate. That does take, it can be, they meet monthly, can be a month or two before you hear back on those, and they don't meet over the summer. So just important things to note that you'll need some lead time if you're hoping to get transfer credits to count towards departmental credits. Okay, most people want to know, how do I pay for this thing? So estimated tuition cost is about $682 for a resident in Michigan and $1,022 for a non-resident, including out-of-state and international students. So the credit hour estimate for 39 credit hours, which is the advanced standing program, works out to be about $26,000 for advanced standing or $39,000 for non-resident for advanced standing. And then the 60 credit hour program, it's about $41,000 total in tuition for a resident or $61,000 total in tuition for a non-resident. There are a few additional fees. If you go to our Kalamazoo campus, there'll be a $400 fee per semester for all of the on-campus amenities. And then online courses each have a $20 course tech fee. And each semester that you're in field education, there's a $185 fee that covers the cost of the administration of our field department as well as your malpractice insurance. So if you want to look at how all of that works out, or look also at books, parking passes if you're on the main campus, commuting if you live far away, all of that's available at this tuition calculator at wmich.edu/registrar/extra/tuition/calculator. Financial aid is a little bit different in graduate school than it is in undergraduate. Federal grants are not available to graduate students. That's not specific to Western. It's literally an act of Congress. Graduation education is pay per credit instead of flat semester fees. So that means if you do our part-time programs, then your bill will be smaller per semester, even though over the full time in your program, it'll work out to be the same amount. So if you're paying out of pocket, that's another great reason to look at our part-time programs. Financial aid packages really just consist of federal loans. They typically are default to cover fall and spring, but all of our programs include at least one summer course. So talk to financial aid about spreading it out to include that summer or applying for additional summer funds. You'll still want to do a FAFSA, and that will be how you know how much you're eligible for as far as student loans. Most of our students use at least some federal student loans to cover the cost of their education. You won't receive any other financial aid packages from the university like you did in undergraduate. You'll just get this letter from FAFSA, and then any other individual scholarships you apply for, you'll be notified individually by whoever you applied for them. Non-degree seeking students are not eligible for financial aid. So if you decide you wanted to take a few courses before you applied to the program, you would have to pay for those courses out of pocket. We do have a number of departmental scholarships. They're not huge, but every dollar counts. They range from $500 to $2,000, and you can apply each year that you're in the program. So if you're in a 2-year program, then 2 years, 3 years, you can apply all 3 years. The deadline for that is March 15th of each year. There's just one application for all of our departmental scholarships, and it's online. If you're a new incoming student, then you'll get a unique link emailed to you as soon as you submit your application. Or you can go to wmich.edu/socialwork/scholarships and click the link there to fill out the scholarship application. It's totally worth your time. About half the students who apply for a scholarship from our department are able to secure one. Award notifications go out the end of April to sometime mid-May. And those are for the following fall. We do have a couple grants available at the moment. Both iPeer and MyProud are interprofessional grants with other departments at the university that come with a $10,000 stipend for concentration field placements that qualify. So for more details on that, you can check out our website. We would love to connect you with that, or talk to our field office if you're interested in looking at one of those. They have to be in particular counties, and they have to be with a particular type of population and work in behavioral health and co-occurring disorders. So check that out if that's of interest to you. It's definitely a great opportunity financially. There are university scholarships. These typically are very competitive because they're university-wide, so just a lot more folks applying for them. But they can be really great as far as they come with stipends and a lot of tuition remission. And those are due February 15th of each year. And you can see those at wmich.edu/grad. We also offer a few graduate assistantships. Those also come with a stipend and tuition remission or coverage of your tuition costs. Those can be anywhere on campus. It doesn't have to be in the social work department. They are more limited at our Grand Rapids and Benton Harbor locations, but because of COVID, we've learned that lots of our work can be done online, so there are more and more opportunities for folks to work remotely with those, which is great. And you can see those postings at wmich.edu/career. If there are social work department options for that available in any given year, then you'll get an email from the school saying what openings are available and how to apply. We'd love to hear your questions. You can reach out to us at swrk-ad@wmich.edu, or give us a call at 269-387-3180. Or if you want to contact us either by email or phone to set up a further information session with just you and a representative from the department, we'd love to set that up as well. Thank you so much for your interest in the MSW program at the School of Social Work. We look forward to seeing your application soon.